It is the third week of October, 1944. You are 19 years old, lying in the cold mud at the edge of a French wood, and you have not eaten since yesterday. Through the scope of your rifle, you are watching a single American walk up the middle of an open road, 90 meters, no cover. He is not running. He is not crouching. He is walking, slowly, the way a man crosses his own yard on a Sunday morning, while every other soldier on that road is pressed flat into the dirt. You have one job. You have done it 40 times. Your finger is on the trigger. The shot is yours, and you are not going to take it. I have read this file more times than I can count, and I still cannot tell you, with certainty, why he was allowed to live. 3 trained marksmen lay along that road. Each had a clean line to the man walking through it. Not one of them fired. The American reached the far tree line, turned a corner, and was gone. And the war moved on without ever asking the question this file asks. Why? A marksman does not miss at 90 meters. He chooses. So the silence on that road was not luck. It was a decision, made 3 times by 3 different men in the space of a single minute. Tonight we find out what they were thinking. Every box on these shelves is a question someone wanted buried. This one asks why 3 men, with every reason to act, chose to do nothing. To understand their silence, you first have to understand the man behind the scope. His greatest enemy was never the target. It was being seen. Every shot he fired gave away the one thing keeping him alive, his position. So he did not aim at everything that moved. He waited. He ranked what he saw, an officer before a private, a radio before a rifle. Patience was the entire craft. A good marksman could lie still for a day and never fire a round, which means the man on that road was not spared by mercy. He was spared by calculation. There was one figure on that road both sides had quietly agreed never to touch. Remember that. It matters. The medic, a white circle, a red cross on the arm. Under the rules both armies signed, he was untouchable, and the records are full of moments when the firing simply stopped, so an unarmed man could drag the wounded out of the open. Men who would kill each other an hour later held their fire for him. But here is where our file refuses to behave. The man walking that road carried no red cross. He carried a weapon. He gave orders, by every rule that should have made him the first name on the list, not the one they let walk away. So we are left with a contradiction. An armed man, an officer in the open, at killing range, and 3 marksmen who would not pull the trigger. To the mind behind the scope, a man that calm was not brave. He was wrong. And on a battlefield, anything that looks wrong looks like a trap. A decoy, walking slowly to bait a shot, so the machine gun waiting behind the hedgerow can find the muzzle flash and erase it. Discipline whispered the same word to all 3 men. Wait. Do not be the fool who fires first. And so they waited, and the legend was born on the back of their fear. But fear of a trap only explains the first few seconds. It does not explain the whole length of that road. As the American kept walking, past the point where any decoy would have flinched, past the range where any ambush would have sprung, something else crept into the men watching him. Doubt. A soldier learns to read other men by their bodies, the hunch of the shoulders, the quick steps, the way fear bends a spine. This man's body said none of it. He moved like someone who had already made peace with dying, and there is nothing on earth harder to aim at than a man who is not afraid of your rifle. There was a colder reason, too. By the autumn of 1944, the life of a German marksman was measured in days. The Allies had learned to hunt them, to watch for the glint of a lens, to answer a single shot with a storm of return fire that flattened the position it came from. To fire was to be found, and to be found was to die. So a careful man did the arithmetic. One enemy officer, walking, already passed him. Was that worth his rifle, his hiding place, his life? More and more of them decided it was not. They lowered the scope, pressed into the earth, and let the ghost walk by. And ghost is the right word, because somewhere across those hedgerows, the enemy had already given a man exactly that name. His name was Matthew Urban, a captain from Buffalo, New York, in the 9th Infantry Division. And the reason his file is so thick is not what the Americans wrote about him. It is what the Germans wrote, because the men trying to kill him noticed something the rest of the war had not yet understood. No matter what they did to him, and they did a great deal, he would not stay down. He kept coming back to the front, wounded, bandaged, limping, upright, again and again and again. They called him der Geist, the ghost, not as a compliment, as a complaint. You cannot kill what is already dead. Urban was shot through the leg in the hedgerows of Normandy and refused to be evacuated. He climbed onto a tank whose crew had been killed or scattered, took its gun himself, and led the advance from the top of it, in full view, while the fire that should have ended him passed him by. He was hit in the arm, hit in the chest, hit in the leg again. 7 times across the war his men watched him fall, and 7 times he found his way back to the line that needed him. To understand why that mattered, you have to understand what a wounded officer was supposed to do. He was supposed to leave. A man shot through the leg goes to the rear, to the surgeons, to a clean bed and a long recovery. That is not cowardice. It is the system working. Urban broke the system. He would take a wound that sent other men home for a year, have it wrapped, and walk back toward the sound of the guns. To his own soldiers it was astonishing. To the enemy across the field, watching the same impossible man reappear week after week, it was something closer to dread. There is one account from that autumn that has never left me. His battalion was pinned in the open, its officers down, its advance collapsing, the whole line beginning to come apart the way lines do in the minutes before a rout. And then the men at the front saw a figure coming up the road behind them, slow, wounded, leaning on nothing, walking straight into the fire the rest of them were hiding from, not charging, not screaming, walking, as if daring the war to finish what it had failed to finish 6 times already. It was Urban, and what happened next had nothing to do with weapons at all, because a line of frightened men is held together by one thing: the belief that someone, somewhere, is still in control. When that belief breaks, the line breaks, and when those soldiers saw a half-dead captain walk upright through the same fire that had them pinned, that broken belief came back. Heads lifted off the dirt. Rifles came up. Men who had been seconds from running turned around and fought. One man, walking, did what no shouted order could do. He gave them back their nerve. That is the strange power this file keeps circling, that a single body, unafraid, can be worth more than a company. Now turn the road around and stand on the other side of it, behind the scope, in the enemy's mud. You have watched this happen before. You have seen the upright man, the one your bullets seem to pass through, the one who turns a beaten unit back into an army just by appearing. What does that do to you, slowly, over weeks? It plants a quiet, corrosive thought that this particular enemy cannot be stopped by you. And a soldier who has begun to believe that has already lost something more important than any single position. He has begun to lose his will.